Hey, I'm Heidi, and this is Carl, my dog. So some of my hobbies are, I love to read, and you can probably tell by behind me that I love to go thrift storing and antiquing, and that is straight from my mother. And so I wouldn't say hoarder, I would say collector of both books and antiques. So if you need anything, if you need some teacups or you need some pictures, I have a lot. But I worked at the library for many years and I loved that. It was a great second job for me and provided me a real opportunity to explore different genres of literature and you know, fiction and nonfiction, and I love that. And so keep up with that. And I love sports. I really love to go to the Storm. I love to go to the Mariners, and that's kind of been something fun over the last year that I've got to do. I love to travel. I've been on a lot of mission trips with the church, and then traveled outside of that, and so I love to do that. Those are my hobbies. I've been going to Gig Harbor Church of the Nazarene since about 2019. I work for a large affordable housing builder, developer, and property management company out of Bellevue, and I've worked there since 2016 and moved here right pre-pandemic, February of 2020, and so lived here ever since. Followed my little sister here, and then finally got my other sister to move over here too, as well as my parents. And that was really fun. 2021, it's been really life-giving for me. Been a Nazarene my whole life. I was born at Nazarene Theological Seminary, and so moved when I was 18 months old to our first pastorate in Leavenworth. And so I have really good memories of that place and the parsonage and the rat that we had named Templeton. Really good memories of that. Then we moved to Beaverton, where my dad was on staff with his dad, and at Beaverton Nazarene, and so had many formative years there. And then he took a pastorate at Eugene first, and so I spent second grade through my sophomore year of high school there, and then took a few detours and ended up in Southern California, and I went to undergrad at Point Loma, and so we lived there until '92 when we moved up here. So I was saved at 5 years old, 1974. I know you can back up and do the math at how old I am. But at my grandpa's church in Beaverton, and I went to the altar all by myself. It was a Sunday night, and remember, we used to have Sunday night church. Lots of people got saved then. So not saying bring it back, but you know what I mean. And my grandma was with me. My great-grandma was with, both great-grandmas were with me. And one of the boys that I thought was really cute at church, he came up and held my hand as I was getting saved. So this was huge. Like, I mean, talk about the right decision. I knew it. So, and then been, you know, growing up in the church, went to youth group, went to church every time the doors were open. And that was really my identity, was a pastor's child and part of this huge ministry. And always felt growing up that my questions were relevant. My inquiries about different things were never met with hostility or judgment or anything like that. I came from a household that accepted those questions and welcomed them, because my dad was very similar in his faith journey as well, and always very curious about what things meant. And his love of Jesus was out loud, and obviously every Sunday and every Sunday night and Wednesday nights was very visible to me. And so I am so thankful for that, as well as my grandparents' legacy and what that has given to me. My mom, very quiet pastor's wife and very dutiful, but also loved Jesus and helped, I think, my sisters and me to consistently pray about things and to be joyful in circumstances. And so it was a different kind of relationship with Jesus, but they both were instrumental in why I'm still at church today, why I still believe today, through all of the deconstruction, reconstruction, sanctification. And yes, I am sanctified, I will say that. So you can believe me or not, there is an experience I could share of when that happened, and it's super meaningful, and Hillary was there, so she should know too about that time. But continued faith journey at 53 years old. I'm still learning new things and constantly asking questions, and I think coming up in a household where that was okay. I probably give pastors at each church I've ever gone to some gray hair with some of the things that I think and believe, and understand, and it may be different, and it may be, you know, outside of a doctrine or a theology that we've come up with, but it's, I still think, very real and very Holy Spirit breathed. And I would love to talk to anybody about that. Just know that I'm very passionate about Jesus, and he's the best thing that's ever happened to me. It continues to happen to me. And I've talked often about how in the past there's been, you know, highlights of his working in my life through ups and downs and things that, you know, you would never think that I have gone through. And a lot of it of my own making. And so there's, you know, a bunch of theological issues with that as well, of, you know, consequences that I suffer at my own hand. But the grace that I have been extended and that has been shown to me by folks has been extraordinary, extravagant, and it's just, I think, a glimpse of what the grace that Jesus shows us all the time. So how is God working in my life? Recently, I think that as long as you're paying attention, you can find areas that he is constantly at work, and it's people he puts in your life, relationships that he sanctions, or you know, is people who he gives to you, relationships that he helps build, and obviously through the church, it's very life-giving to me. The people that I met here, the friendships I've formed, the guidance that I've received, and, you know, the influence that has kind of been prayed over me, and I feel that every day when, you know, things are difficult. My job is pretty high pressure, and we're doing a lot of things, a lot of different things in my job that I'm, you know, kind of constantly justifying and defending why, you know, we need to do these things. And it's all, you know, very gospel oriented, but I can't necessarily present it that way to, you know, multimillionaires. So don't get that, but it's a really cool, I think, way that I get to show Jesus to people in my everyday work. And so I'm very, very honored that everything that I have prayed for and people around me have prayed for years about is sort of, you know, happening. And so I see, you know, the prevenient grace that Jesus has given to all of us. But specifically, I think if you look for it, it's there. That, you know, losing my dad over this last year has been also very difficult, and working through issues with my mom. It's been totally weird, and I can see God in that. It's like if they hadn't moved over here when they did, it would have been, you know, so much different, and I think harder for us to come alongside my mom and to do the things that we need to do for her. And so again, this church community has been great in rallying around us during that time, and coming up on a year. And so it's been weird, and grief sucks, and you just deal with it every day, and it's kind of like glitter. It gets everywhere, gets in all of the cracks and crevices of life, and you find it in real inopportune places and times, and sometimes it, you know, it makes you mad, but then sometimes it's pretty, and you're glad you see it, and you take each of those moments and, I don't know, do something with them.